What's happening, guys? It's Sunday, October 13th. Just wanted to take a look at some things real quick because I said I would. Sunday night, we'll see what futures opened here. Let's look at the NASDAQ and see where we're sitting. Okay, so we'll start fresh here. Just looking into the weekly. As of right now, the weekly chart on the NASDAQ is 50-50. You have, like we talked about, these fair value gaps. We have resistance here, and we are sitting in that resistance, so you could expect a reversal, or we've now tested the bull case twice here. Let's make that one green. So the bull case is that we have tested this gap up twice. We've completed all the work that needed to be done there, and the next target would be, there would be two targets. One would be the top of this channel, which actually would be right here to right here, this gap. Right, we'll make that red so we can see it. Okay, so first target is going to be 205.65, and then there would probably be a pretty quick move up higher to this area. So that's going to be the bull case. If we get above last week's high, then we're going to hit that high, and then there could be a quick move up. So we want to keep an eye on that. If for some reason this doesn't hold, likely what they're going to do before they go lower, though, is they're going to at least take out this high. So we want to watch this 2500 area. And the reason I'm using NASDAQ instead of SPY is because SPY is at all-time highs. So there's really nothing to trade against, right? At least in the NASDAQ, we still have something to trade against. So if we get above this, let's just go to the Qs for options ideas. So the Qs look a little different than the NASDAQ. The Qs, as you see, have already taken out, because see, now NASDAQ has different contract dates and they reconfigure that kind of stuff. So the Qs, they've already taken out that high, right? It was rejected once, but then they recaptured. They held this area. They retested it. They got rejected there, which means the bulls are in charge. They bought it, right? And now they're going up. So same thing here. First target is going to be 495, 494.50. Getting up above that, they could make a pretty quick move to these next few weeks highs, right? You could argue that we do have a pretty solid level of resistance here. So we'll make that one red just for fun at 496.60. We can go into the 4-hour chart and see if there's anything else we need to look at. There's maybe a little bit right here where this reversal happened. So you could look at that area of potential resistance, 499, right below 500. If they drop it below 500, then that could be a sign that they're going to break it in the future. But I'd like to see them at least try these areas, which means going into Monday would be bullish. You could take out that 494.47 double top there and shoot it up pretty quickly, right? Break that and get up above here. So that would not be out of character at this point to retest this prior high. But we'll keep an eye on those two levels on the Qs. As far as the SPY, there's really nothing to trade against, right? As of right now, just using the 4-hour chart, it still continues to be bullish because we have this chart here, or this fair value gap here that they are holding, and retested that area and bounced. So the expectation is to continue going higher, or anywhere in the top half of this area would be a good idea to actually, if you want to do Fibonacci here, you could do that, and you'd say getting down to this 577.20 might be a buy, and getting below it might mean they want to retest this area, right? They've already done it, so there's really no need to do that. But watch that 577 area, 577.20, see if that becomes important on Monday. Now going into the week, it's getting a little extended, right? So at the same time, just because we are at all-time highs does not mean we're at the top, right? If you know anything about trading from 2020 and 2021, it was just completely bullish the entire time. There was no reason for it to come down. And actually, if you look at this, get this stuff out of the way. Let's look at the 50-day moving average, simple moving average. We'll change this to 50. This is a good way to know if you're getting too extended, or if you're, let's go to the day, 50-day moving average, if you're getting too extended or not, because typically, like we saw in 2020, that's a good buying opportunity, right? They got to the 50 and it bounced all the way up, finally started getting below it, and then they had a blow off top, right? So let's look at what's happening this year so far on SPY. So this 50 is kind of holding. You can see they're letting it get below it, which isn't extremely bullish. However, there's plenty of room to go higher before correcting and coming back to that. So what I just don't want anybody to think that we can, that we're just too high, because just too high doesn't mean anything anymore. You just have to follow what's on the chart and just say, so the 50 starts curling up, and we continue higher to the 600 area, chop around, and then continue higher, right? There's no reason at this point to think bearish, other than they might want to come down just to retest this breakout. Now at the same time, the reason I'm making this video is because there's a thing that I've learned over time, and I kind of alluded to it last week, that if you break out too soon, when they do come back and test it, it's not going to hold. So let's look at this. Let's just take all my drawings off. All right. So this prior breakout area, they came up to it, they just gapped over it. They came and retested here and started to bounce, and then they retested it a second time, came in lower, found support at that 50 area, and that was the next leg higher, right? This one, however, put my magnet back on. This one, however, may have one more drop in it. And the reason I think that is because nobody's buying the all-time high. What we saw in 2020 is that the shorts are the only ones buying the market. There are really no long-term investors when you're at all-time highs, but you can go higher if too many people are short. And we saw that with GameStop and all that stuff. So it might not be long-term, but if they wanted to get a new high, if they want to go much higher than this, since nobody's buying this, they might be buying it up to 600, but nobody's really buying this. No big banks are buying SPY at 580, right? What they would rather do is to see a drop down here, hit everybody's stop loss, hit that 50, and then start going. And that would, anybody that took it short here thinking that was the top, they're going to get squeezed right back out, and it's going to give them enough gas to get to the next level, next leg higher. So there may be one more push down to this 565 area, and if they get to 565, they're going to go lower. Your 50 is going to be up around this area, which would also be this little bitty gap. See how we kind of left a gap open there? And really, you could argue this is a little bit of a gap too, but it's very possible that they do have one more drop before the next leg higher. So let's run over to Forex Factory, just check the news, see if there's anything coming up in the next few days. Let's see. We've got Columbus Day tomorrow. I think we're still open. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow morning. But I don't like trading options on Monday morning anyway. They don't typically work. Tuesday, typically we'll see a reversal of whatever direction we're going Monday. So if we're down on Monday, then we'll possibly see another leg higher on Tuesday. As far as news, we have a little bit of FOMC stuff, but nothing major. This site is free, Forex Factory, and it shows you like the red stuff is like what really moves the market. You want to look for the US dollar and see if there's anything worth looking at. So Tuesday, not so much. Wednesday morning, don't really have anything. Import prices, yeah, nothing Wednesday. Thursday, we've got 8:30. This is Central Time, so keep that in mind. But we've got some stuff here that could, unemployment claims that could move the market on Thursday, reverse some things. And then Friday would be options expiration. So we can look at that and see that they're probably not going to let whatever direction they're going on Tuesday or Wednesday, they're probably not going to stay in the same direction because they don't want those options to expire in the money or with value. They want everything to expire worthless, right? So it's also possible that this week is just nothingness and they just chop, right? We have a little bit of a reason to backtest this prior breakout area. You could argue they did on a daily candle, but they might want to retest that, getting below there. We could see a retest to 565 and below that down here to the 560 area. So keep an eye on that. That's about all I have. Just getting back to this idea of breakouts, though. The reason I think we're still bullish, honestly, is because, so if you look at like the NASDAQ here, so if you've been trading with me very long, you'll know if they come up short of a number, then they're likely going to break it, right? So here would have been the last prior high. They came up short of it, there, got rejected, and then the next time they went through it, right? Same thing with this here. So we have this prior high. Now, if they were to come up here and reject, then the expectation is another bounce. And I have this target up here around 22,000, that if you were to use Fibonacci, probably incorrectly like I do, but if you were to say this prior breakout area right there. So what did they do? They came down to the top 25%. They didn't even retrace to 50% yet. So they're saying, I mean, you could kind of say 75% of the people are bullish because they only let it come down to 25% to retest it. So a 100% move from this breakout to the next target would be up here, right? Be like this kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, my math isn't exact, but the idea is they could get a small pullback and then break that prior high, and we'll be at all-time highs on NASDAQ because on the weekly you've tested the bull case twice, and it's primed to go higher. We'll just keep this on our chart for now. If we start getting rejected on Monday and Tuesday, then look for a reversal on Thursday and Friday, back up to new highs, and we'll see how that goes. If that doesn't make any sense, let me know. But what I did want to show you was that breakout idea. Like here's another example. So we broke out, we got below it, grabbed all the stop losses. The buyers were all the people that were long put their stop loss at the breakout, right? Which is what retail traders are taught to do. You know, don't let it go red, right? So they put their stop losses there. They're buying the breakout. They all got stopped out, and then it reversed and went higher, and these people bought back in when it got back above the line and pushed it higher. The shorts that went short got trapped right here, and they pushed it higher, and then the buyers that were like, oh man, I knew I shouldn't have got out, they got trapped and they chased it up. And the smart buyers, the bankers, were buying this 50, right? In another scenario, on this one here, what do I always say? A failed breakout is always stronger than the initial breakout. So, because you have twice as many people selling if it fails. So here you had breakout buyers. They came down, started to grab their stops, but it really didn't, this is a daily chart, it really didn't dig deep into this area for the next leg higher to trap shorts yet. They trapped a couple shorts, got up higher, and then the next time they came back down to this area, it failed, right? See how quickly it broke back through that area. And then from there, you had a very, very deep pullback into all this, right? So that would be another thing we're looking for. If for some reason, now this would take a couple weeks to play out, but if for some reason, you know, we break out, come back and bounce early, then on that next leg, that's where it would fall very quickly through the bottom, right? And if you go back over to look to SPY, that's kind of what it is setting up to do. So if you look at this 4-hour chart, it's got the breakout already. Let's see. Nope, on the daily. So now this is not a good breakout. Even if you move this little guy up. This is not a good breakout because it retested and bounced. It did put in a higher high. It retested again and bounced, but it didn't trap any shorts. No shorts are trapped because shorts would be buying or selling underneath that breakout. Shorts are sitting down here waiting for the breakout, the breakdown, right? The breakout to fail. But instead, it just continued to push higher. So what that tells me is this is not a sustainable leg higher. there will be another pullback. And like I said, from the 50, we are getting a little bit extended. So it's very possible that they'll want to run another test of this. So I want to keep that on our radar. As far as going into the week, I think we're still a little bullish right now. We could have a nice blow off top up to this like 585 area before seeing another reversal. But see also on this 1 hour chart, even they really didn't get deep enough into this breakout to trap a lot of shorts. They trapped some because a lot of shorts have their orders right here. So when it dipped below there, they got loaded and then they got stuck. And that's why we had a big pop on Friday, a big rip. So yes, it can go higher, but I don't think it's sustainable. We want to watch for a lower high to be put in here. We're still above the 50 even on the 1 hour, even on the 15. So the expectation is to continue in a bullish pattern until we're actually below the 50 like this. I don't really want to look at puts. If you do, you better not hold them overnight. Just play it and then be out. Right? Let's go back over and look over a couple of stocks. AI, of course, I've been talking about this one for a while. We made a little bit of money on this week. The daily and the weekly look pretty good. Let me zoom out here. I'm not sure why my line's got all funky, but we still have some room to go higher on AI. So that might be a Monday morning play. You're going to start finding resistance at either this or that trend line. And then you also are fighting the 50-week moving average, which is pretty heavy. So you could see them going lower. There's really no reason to come back down at this moment because we've kind of filled this area. We had our this channel has been hanging out for a long time, and we have room at least to the top of the channel, and then a breakout from there. They're going to try to retest these highs and this prior level here. That 44 area. So you could see a pretty good move off of AI coming in next week. I would guess they're going to do it Monday morning pre-market so that nobody can get in. There's a lot of 28 calls getting bought into next week. So they're probably going to open above 28. And then by the end of the week, they'll probably be back down just so those don't expire in the money. So you might watch that if you're into selling calls. You might look at, if we get too extended, start selling calls. Look at that. Let's look at Tesla. I really thought Tesla was going to run because it looked like it was being bought from the same people. There's really no reason for it to go much lower. They can find some resistance at the 50 here, this 202 area. That 50 week moving average is probably going to be pretty bullish. As far as, let me get this switch back to regular here. So if we were going to go higher, our next area of resistance, our next target, I always look for where the buyers are, where they start buying and where they finish buying, right? So that this guy, let's say he started buying there and he finished buying here, right? This guy, he came back, started buying there, he went to there. Now he did come up a little short this time, so it might be why it didn't make it. But on the smaller time frame, you could still say there was a buyer in this area that took it up to that 299, 295 area, whatever. So you could still be looking for a long that could be the last shakeout before the next leg higher to 300 and getting over 300. See how big these candles are. It could really start moving. And you know, you could say at least to there, where this guy bought it in 1 week. That was just, 2 weeks, 1 week, and then another gap up. This was 2 weeks. Within a matter of 2 weeks, it moves, $50-$60. So let's watch that. And the fact that, it's only a $200 stock right now is pretty appealing to long-term investors now that they've had the splits and all that stuff. So keep an eye on that one. Tesla, I really like long, even though it doesn't look like it's doing well. But you could argue that they trapped a lot of shorts here, where this breakdown, see how they dip back below the trend line, and then it really moved fast. So there could still be a lot of shorts trapped, and a lot of shorts could start covering their positions now that they're back here. And you could really see a nice move from this level, from right here to here, from right here to at least there. And then you also have this head and shoulders idea. If you were to do 1-to-1, that's close enough. But if this was a 100% move, then the breakout area, this would put it at a 100% move, this 390 area, which would also be testing all-time highs. So keep an eye on Tesla. That might be some really interesting stuff. Apple. Let's go take a look at that one. Looks a little too late to get in that one, but I could definitely see another pop higher. Meta looks interesting to me, though, as one of the first ones that's going to start failing. And it could reach the 600 if it hasn't already, but I don't know. It didn't ever test the breakout area here. It just kind of kept going, and we're getting a little extended from this 50-week moving average. If you look at the daily, we still kind of making a bull flag at the moment, but we could just be going up to fill that gap and then continue lower and retest that 540 area. So if we were going to be short on something, it would probably be Meta. Nvidia, I don't really like messing with short. It's this close already. It just might as well go to all-time highs. Our short idea didn't really work here. And AMD. Now AMD does look a little bit weaker. So as of right now they're trapping shorts, but they also haven't broken back out yet, really. So this was the breakout area. They dip back below to trap shorts, and they want to push it higher to be able to break this triple top here, triple week top. But they're also getting rejected by that breakout. So that could be an interesting one to look at short again, getting back below 163, finding some resistance there. You could see that run back down to that 140 area again. So we'll keep that one on watch. Again, if you look at, the NASDAQ is weaker than the S&P, so it's not at all-time highs yet, and SPY is already past all-time highs. So if we get that resistance there holding, that would be interesting to see. Likely, if they get to this area, it's not going to hold either, and they're going to retest these lows here, and the 50 would start curling down and all kinds of stuff. So all that to say, everything looks bullish at the moment, so you really can't be overly bearish yet. You can play options if you want, but going into options expiration, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to do. But just think about, before you take a trade, who is stuck? Who is going to be hurt more if they move? So are buyers going to be hurt if they just drop right here? Or are shorts who have been short since July going to be in more pain if they break the high? Because then they've given up this entire gain that they had, and they're just watching it turn red. That's kind of what I think. I think the shorts are the ones in trouble this week. So keep that in mind. But I will let you know if I start seeing anything bearish. If you have any questions, give me a call or give me a message. But AI still looks good. Nvidia, Tesla. With Tesla, I'm curious about this guy, Rivian. So as you see here, we've had kind of a floor here, right? They broke down and broke back above it, and what happened? The shorts were stuck, and so it ripped, right? So now they've tested this area. They came to retest it. It dipped a little bit back below it, so shorts could start potentially be covering again, because they got trapped up here, but they held long enough that it would come back down to their break even. So I really like the daily of Rivian here, and especially if Tesla does start to reverse, which I kind of expect, I do like this reversal, because these shorts, they thought, oh good, we got our target. Their target was that. The target was the prior pivot. They got below it, and now every time they get below it, they push it back up. So keep that one on watch, especially during earnings. If we're down here during earnings, I'd look for a long. But yeah, that might be a good one. Your target would be your first target. They pushed it from there to there. $2 or whatever, but there's a potential to run if they get much higher than that. So anyway, let me know if you got any questions. Thanks.